Today we will conduct a mock interview with our consultant who is actually experienced in guiding more than 1,000 plus students for US interviews. So if you have any questions, do put them then in the comment section. Check out the visa guide that we have, as well as comment your thoughts on the ideal answers that our consultant will guide us, as well as what I did in the interview. Do comment for sure. Let's get in our consultant, Rahul. Hi, Rahul.
Hi, Kamal.
Right.
So,
yes.
Are you prepared for the interview?
Yeah, I'm more or less prepared for the interview. I mean, this is a mock, so we'll get into the mock mode immediately. So you'll be my interviewer, I'll be the candidate. And then once I answer the questions, we'll immediately have your feedback so that people can actually understand what was good from my side, what I could have done better, and stuff like that. And I would request everyone to just comment your thoughts, what you felt. If you felt the advice needed to be different, or if you had different experiences, please do put it down. So let's get to the mock mode, and we start the mock interview now.
So why are you going to the US?
Right. First and foremost, sir, I have been wanting to learn data analytics, and I found US being one of the big countries where data analytics is very much prevalent, and there are more opportunities there. So I thought that I will go to the US to complete my master's in data analytics. For that purpose, I'm going there.
Okay. So the answer is fine, but the most of the times in the interview, it is expected that your answers are crisp and simple. So over here, you've been asked, why are you going to the US? So you have to say that I'm going to US to study masters in this from the university that you're going to. That will be a one-line answer. And unless the visa officer asks you about why only US or why this university, that is where you can probably elaborate on why you want to go to the US or why this particular university. Okay. So I hope you understood the answer for this. Let's move on to the next question.
Right.
Which university are you going to?
Yes, I'm going to the NYU University in New York for studying data analytics as a master's course.
Okay, so the feedback for this answer, obviously you have given a crisp answer, that's good. But the feedback would be to avoid using short forms for the university names. Okay, it'll be better to have it in full form. So instead of saying NYU, it is recommended that you say it as New York University. Okay, fine. So why did you choose New York University?
I have a lot of references from some of my friends who have been seniors who have studied at the NYU University in the topic of data analytics. And I have heard that the education is good and they have also got good placements. So that is something I have heard from this university. So I thought that I should also go and study there.
The answer that you gave was not an ideal one because throughout your answer, you have mentioned what your friends and your references have told you about the university, and it did not mention your thoughts about the course, about the university you're going to. Another aspect that you mentioned was about getting a job offer while studying at the university. Though job is an eventuality after completing the course, and that is something every student looks forward to, the answer should not focus on the jobs, but rather focus on what courses you would be studying at the university. So the ideal answer would probably have your thoughts on which courses you want to study, which research work you are interested in that the university is focused on, or which professors' research you are more interested to focus under. That would probably be an ideal answer to why do you want to study at a particular university. Okay. So moving on to the next question. How many other universities have you applied to?
I had applied to two universities, one University of Arizona and the other University of Stanford. So these two universities I had applied, and both places I got a reject. So I'm looking forward for this NYU University, this visa to go through, and I would like to work and learn and more add value to the data analytics field in my career.
Again, as I said earlier, it's expected that you keep your answers crisp and simple. So over here, the question was only how many other universities you applied to. The visa officer did not ask you what results did you get at those universities. So you could have simply said that I've applied to two other universities, which are University of Arizona and University of Stanford. Like that. That would have been a more crisp answer to this particular question.
Okay.
Obviously, the visa officer can go further and ask you about what results did you get from those universities, and that is where you can probably mention the results. Okay. So data analytics is a very good field, upcoming field. And why are you not studying this in India itself? Why do you want to go to the US?
Right. in the recent past, when I've completed my graduation here in the area of computer science, and I have been looking out for job opportunities and more learnings in data analytics, I have seen the data analytics penetration in a country like India has the implementation and application has not been huge. It's still in the nascent phase. And what I have learned from all the information that I had about US as being one of the hubs of data analytics, where implementation and as well learning and application is much higher. So I would like to pursue that in the US, because I've seen wireless communications or driverless cars and all such implementations there. So I'm much keen to learn and implement and learn in the US.
Okay. I wouldn't say this was completely not ideal, but there were parts of this answer which ideally should have been skipped. One of those parts I would like to focus on is you comparing India and US. Though comparison is an expected part of this answer, it would not be good to say something negative about one to mention something positive about the other. You could have used maybe slightly better adjectives in place of saying that it is not as good, it does not cover the field properly back in India, something like that. So it would have been more better saying that the curriculum is much more advanced in the US. That would have sounded much better. You could have said the curriculum is much more aligned with what the industry is using at this point. You could have used it this way. That would have not sounded as bad for India as the way it sounded while you spoke. Okay. So that is something I would recommend whenever you are comparing. Don't try to make something more negative to show something else more positive. Okay. Let's go to the next question. How are you financing your education?
I have currently secured a loan from HDFC Bank for my education, and my father is actually funding the other portion of it, as I do not have much savings for myself. My father is funding the overall finances for my course.
Okay. So your answer is crisp over here, but it is not complete, I would say, because what you did not mention over here is what funds are you getting from the bank, what funds are you getting from your father. Specifying it properly, or at least an approximate value, would be much better. Okay, like you mentioned you are taking a loan, but you did not mention like what is the loan amount, whether it's 10 lakhs, whether it's 20 lakhs, whether it's 40 lakhs or 60 lakhs. Like you'll have to mention that amount over here. Another thing that you should have mentioned is, okay, maybe percentage wise you could have told the split. Like apart from the value, obviously the value has to be mentioned, but with that you can also mention the percentage. Like maybe 50% is being like from the loan and 50% from your father. So that is what I would recommend in this particular answer. But just to clarify, is it only the loan and your father, or is there someone else?
Actually, my uncle is also in the US, and he's also going to support me, and that is the situation also, and that is where I also wanted to add to it. Yes, my uncle is also funding some of the portion of my studies in the US.
Talking about this, it is not recommended that you mention that you are getting funds from within the US. It would be recommended that your funds are coming from your home country, rather than mentioning that your funds for your education are coming from within the US. It's not, I would not say that this might hamper your visa chances, but it is not an ideal answer. Whether it hampers or not is going to be on a case basis. So it's recommended you don't mention it that way.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on to the next question. What are your plans after completing your master's?
I have plans that I would like to take up a job opportunity in the US, considering I have now learned and understood the curriculum, did the application part, and I would like to implement it for some time, at least for maybe next 4 to 5 years. I think that I would like to stay in the US. Also work in top companies like Amazon and Google to implement my learnings of data analytics.
Okay. Again, nearly ideal, I would say, but rather than mentioning the period of 4 to 5 years, which is not what you get after you complete your master's, you have a stay back of 3 years after you have completed a STEM course of data analytics. So I would recommend mentioning the period as 2 to 3 years rather than mentioning 4 to 5 years. Obviously, no one is going to hold you for mentioning 2 to 3 in your visa interview and staying for more than that if you have a legal visa, obviously. But it is recommended that you mention the period as 2 to 3 years rather than mentioning 4 to 5 years.
Okay, noted.
Fine. So let's move on to the next question, and that'll be: do you have any, apart from your uncle, do you have any friends or family in the US?
Apart from my uncle, I have a few friends who, as I mentioned, have completed the data analytics course also from NYU, and they have got good placements, and they are also in the US. So those are the people I know, and my uncle, who's my father's brother, he's also there. So these are the two group of people I know that are there in the US.
Okay, fine. That's I would say is an ideal answer, because rather than saying that you do not know anyone, or rather than lying about that you do not have anyone in the US, it's always better that you be truthful to the visa officer, saying whoever, like friends, family, whatever. So whatever you mentioned over here sounded like an ideal answer.
Okay.
Okay. So I believe like we have covered most of the general questions that can be asked during a visa interview, but definitely on a case-to-case basis, on a student-to-student basis, these questions can vary a lot. Now there are certain questions which could have been asked over here, like what do you mean by data analytics? And this course, obviously, you are going for data analytics, so you will be asked for data analytics, but someone else going for business management, supply chain management, computer science, electronics and communication engineering, ECE. They have a different method of explaining the course that they are going for. And similarly to you, you had a set of sponsors, you had a loan. Someone might have only loan, or so the case-to-case basis, the type of questions that can be asked by the visa officer will vary a lot. So, yeah.
Okay, so as an expert, I want to ask you some open questions that we get a lot of comments about, because now I feel our mock framework is over. We have the little bit of a roundtable or a podcast approach to maybe I'm asking you some questions and you can share your perspectives. One of them is what I've learned from a lot of students, that we have to be sure to indicate to them that I want to come back only. So I don't want to stay there. I have education done, and I don't want to stay in your country. I will come back only. So is this a feeling or a vibe that I have to keep showing all along my interview, that no, I have my parents, I have my property, I'm coming back, I'm not staying there? What is your opinion on it?
So see, obviously, as a student, you are spending a lot of money to pursue or study a particular course in the US. So you don't have to show that particular vibe that you are coming back in every other answer. It seems like a repetitive point, and the visa officer might not like it. It will press a lot of like, it's not expected that the student mentions that he's coming back to India, coming back to his or her home country in every other answer. But whenever the question demands it, like, what are your plans after masters, or do you plan to come back to your country? In these particular questions, when the question is asking about it, during those times, it is recommended that the student mentions that yes, they have a plan of coming back to their home country.
Right. So one more question I had on my mind is that, as you have interviewed so many people, and obviously the people who are watching us can reach out to the description and maybe connect with you for a mock interview, or maybe one session as well, because you have so much of experience. Is the visa interviews different in different states and cities? Because I want to understand or feel from you that probably maybe you have consulted some people who are in Mumbai, some people who are in maybe in Pune, some are in maybe Delhi or Gujarat or somewhere else. So is it or maybe the south of the country? Is it really different, or it's like some people ask only 2 questions, some of us are asked like 10 questions like you asked me? So what's your view?
Okay, so very, very similar to every person is unique. So every student is unique, and every visa officer is also unique. So the interaction that they will have will obviously be unique to that set of people over there. So some visa officers can like the profile of the student based on their I-20 itself. If someone says that they have got an admit from Harvard or Stanford, or MIT, for that matter, they will definitely be impressed with the student's profile, because getting an admit from such a university is obviously a big thing. Apart from that, there could be like visa officers themselves have studied in a particular university, and if you're going to the same university, they might be prejudiced, you can say, a little bit to approve your visa. I wouldn't say they are, but they might be. In certain cases, the students might be more nervous during their interview itself, and that reflects the questions asked by the visa officer, and that might extend their visa interview time. Like, they might be asked a lot more questions, maybe to remove them from their nervousness point of view, or maybe just to see if they are really nervous or they are lying about something.
Right. Fair enough. And one more thing I just wanted to help our viewers with is that Rahul has helped prepare this visa guide that will help you have a checklist of documents, what you need to do on that day, and probably how you need to prepare with ideal answers. This is there in the description box. Also, you could check out that. And now I want to ask you one more question is that as you have interacted with so many students, I mean, does this coaching or maybe a mock interview with an expert like you help students? Because have you seen that change in performance or confidence or delivery, which they are more convincing, or maybe you did a couple of mock interviews with a student and you saw that they moved up a notch? What's your feeling about this mock interview thing? Does it really help, or it's gimmicky? What's your feeling, because you handle so many students?
So one of the things that I would repeat over here is a proverb that everyone knows: practice makes a man perfect, right? So the questions that you practice, it's not necessary that the visa officer might ask you the same question, but if you are relate that question to another question that you have prepared to, that means you are prepared with an answer to speak for that particular question, rather than being on the spot with the question and then thinking about the answer over there. It is always better that you are prepared with all possible, like, I wouldn't say 100%, but at least 80 to 90% of the questions can be covered in a mock interview. Understanding the ideal answers on this basis, obviously an answer which is perfect for you might not be perfect for the candidate next. So it will vary from person to person. So preparing a set of answers for your case for the visa interview will definitely be better rather than being on the spot at the visa interview itself.
Right. And something like generic answers available on the internet will be definitely a starting point, I believe, but probably a customized answer or from someone who's maybe seen your profile and has experience with interacting with students and stuff like that will be helpful, I'm sure, right? One more question. Yes.
I would like to add one more thing. Like, even though there are generic answers available on the internet, it is not recommended that one by hearts it and then says the same thing in front of the visa officer, because the visa officer can also identify whether you have by hearted it or whether you relate to it. So it becomes very important that it does not show as you have by hearted something. That's right. Something where maybe in a pocket one can guide whether it looks like you have by hearted or whether it looks genuine.
Fair. So one more question I want to put ahead for students who have maybe failed their interview, right? This is also a reality that a lot of interviews did not go well. Some people did not go through and they are disheartened. So what's your experience with once you have maybe failed? People say if you're rejected, again, you will be rejected and stuff like that. There are myths about like, once you're rejected, you're already in the bad list. What's your view? The second time attempt people have cleared, what's your view?
So, as far as my experience is going on, I can tell you this for sure, that students who have gotten their visas rejected, there is a bulk of students who have gotten their visas approved in the next attempt. Okay, it is not like once it is rejected, it's always rejected. It's not like that, but it is on the students' part to identify, at least try to identify what mistakes they might have done during the first interview. And if they are unable to identify it, then maybe try to analyze or maybe discuss it with an expert. Like, these were the answers that I had given. Is it possible for you to mention like what could have been wrong or maybe misunderstood during the interview that could have led to the rejection? So it is very important in that.
Fair. I think until if you don't analyze, reattempting wouldn't make sense much, because you might make the same mistakes and then again you would land up in the same situation. Okay, just on the lighter note, I want to ask you, what has been the strangest question that maybe some of your student has told you that was asked to him in the visa interviews? Any strange question that was like out of the blue, something like that, which was very amusing? Somebody would be taken aback. Anything that came to your mind about it?
Okay. Over the past 5 years, I don't remember any funny questions as such. There have been incidences which I wouldn't call funny, but so one of the things that I remember is the officer asking for, I think, the GRE scorecard from the student, and the student forgot to take that with him.
Okay.
Now that is, I wouldn't call it funny, but the good thing about it was the visa officer did not reject him particular basis.
Correct. So they are also genuinely considerate in that sense. Right. I think that makes complete sense. What I would recommend people is to maybe go through this mock interview and maybe comment your thoughts, comment your experiences, maybe comment some of the thing on our experts' advice as well. You thought that maybe this has helped you, or probably you have a different view. I think we are okay with a contrarian view in the comment section as well. That's completely okay. You can check out the description for the visa guide as well as to reach out to Rahul, who's an expert in overseas education consultations for one-to-one coaching as well as visa consultations. So, final advice, Rahul, what would you like to give people who are listening or preparing for their visa interviews so that they can get through? And comment here that it helped. So, probably you could give them the final word.
So, be confident, be truthful. As I mentioned, most of the questions asked by the visa officer would recommend a crisp and a simple answer. There will be certain questions where their answer is recommended, but most of the answers can be kept crisp and simple. So, and be confident. Prepare yourself. Don't try to just do it on the go. Just go over there unprepared. Don't do that. Prepare yourself with all the possible set of questions that can be asked on your profile. And, best of luck.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rahul. And I think I'd only put from my side that a rehearsal like this probably is a great way to maybe put yourself in the shoes. Like, I'm very confident in talking about a lot of topics, but today I think viewers as well as you must have noticed while answering these questions and I'm put on the spot, I was a bit nervous, right? I was fumbling with my words because if you redo it more times, I'm sure it goes smoother and it shows that you know what you're doing. You are an honest student going for education purpose. You have no other side hanky-panky business, and you indicate to them that agenda is very clear. It's education. Right. So that is something. So thank you so much for joining in. You can check out the description for the playlist for all videos that we have created on abroad education, F1 visa, as well as if you want to reach out to Rahul, you could do that as well. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and I hope it helped. And thank you so much, Rahul, for your time. Thanks.
Welcome.